What's this? A letter for me.
Welcome to another episode of Remember the Great Sports Through the Mail Thursdays. I have 4 envelopes that I'm going to share with you today. One of them is one of my favorites, an oversized envelope. So I'm going to save that one for last because I think I know who it is, only because of the postmark, and he also wrote God Bless on there, which is pretty cool. So with further ado, I'm going to open up a couple cards here and see what we got. And the first one that I'm going to share with you is one postmarked from Phoenix, Arizona. Sorry, I'm kind of shuffling through a bunch of envelopes here. And this one is from Phoenix, and I just cut the top off of it. That's what you heard me doing off camera there. And that is from Mr. Jim Marshall. Now, Mr. Marshall was a coach for a long time, but he also played. So I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And if you remember that from a TTM video from a little while back, there is Fred Stanley's autograph on this card. And I mentioned also that Mr. Dave Hilton passed away in that video, so unfortunately I'll never have a chance to complete that card. But that's just the way it goes sometimes with autograph collecting. And I just noticed my cards were kind of off-centered there, so let me rearrange so you can see them a little bit better. But he signed 4 of 4, so very happy to add those to the collection. According to the back of his card here, Marshall played 5 years in the majors, was a left-handed thrower, left-handed hitter. As the time of this card, it says he has over 40 years experience in baseball as a player, coach, manager, and scout. Playing for 5 different teams. He also played 3 seasons with the Chunichai Dragons in Japan. So he is somebody that played in Japanese professional baseball after he played in the United States. So that's a pretty cool story to know about him. I did not know that. I knew Dave Hilton played in Japan, but I did not know that Jim Marshall did. But ironically, they're coaches on that team, so maybe that's how they originally met way back when in Japan when they were both players. So very happy to add those to the collection. Unfortunately, Clete Boyer is the second half of that card, and Clete was the great Yankees third baseman, and he passed away many years ago. So won't be able to finish that one either. So thank you, Mr. Marshall, for the 4 that you signed to add those to the collection. Now this next one is a mystery. I don't know who this is. Postmarked from Philadelphia. So looks like a 68 tops, and it is Mr. Bobby Wine. And Mr. Wine, I think I sent 3 to. And there is 3 in the package. So Bobby Wine obviously was an Expo also, but just to look at his stats real quick here. Obviously was a Philly, as you can see on the car there. Played for the Phillies for almost 6 years, it looks like. 7 years counting his rookie year. But then in 1969 came to the Montreal Expos. So very cool to add a couple more vintage autographs to my collection that I did not have. This is also part of a father-son combo that also is in baseball. Bobby's son, Robbie Wine, also played in the majors for a brief career in the early 80s to mid-80s, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sure if you go through your mid-80s commons, you'll probably find a Robbie Wine card in there. So very happy to add these vintage Bobby Wine cards to the collection. Now this next guy, I know who it is, only because this is kind of a cool story I talked about. And on the back, to promote his movie, he's got a Facebook page, Reunion 108. And I might throw a link in the description below to the IMDb page for his movie. I have personally never seen the movie. I hope to maybe get my hands on it, but I don't have Netflix, so maybe it's out there on the streaming software, but I just don't have that at this point. Maybe someday in my life I will. I might have to go to a local video store or something and see if I can locate it, but it looks like he wrote movie and he also wrote book on there. And I'm going to be very careful with opening this because I don't want to damage that sticker, so I'm going to open this up off camera. And here we go. Oh, this is wonderful. Okay. Very, very nice. And I'll share that with you after I show you the cards. But here is if you remember this from a previous TTM, the card with Danny Darwin already on it. So very happy to add Mr. Sample to that. Again, I'm going to have to do some research on Pat Putnam and see if he actually signs through the mail, because I really hate to lose this. I almost need to find a unsigned version of this card and just send it to Pat and see if he'll sign it and maybe start the process over again. You know, I just really hate to lose this card sending it through the mail after I got those two guys to sign it. And in addition to that, he signed a 1980 Topps, a 1986 Topps Traded. There's the Topps Traded. You can tell by the bright pink on the back, and obviously the T behind the number. But the Traded set you can pick up, and you know exactly what that set is. You know, other than Topps Tiffany, I guess. And there's an 81 Fleer, I believe. Yep, a 1981 Fleer and a 1981 Topps. Now, here's the cool part. And I'm going to do my best, only because I can do my best to show this to you without getting it too blurry. But on letterhead from Billy Sample himself, he wrote to me, "Good luck with your YouTube baseball channel. I'm so technology challenged that I have a Twitter account but don't know how to use it. Ha, I think I remember my password. Safe travels, best of health, Billy." That is extremely, extremely thoughtful of Mr. Sample to write that personal note to me. I'm going to try to find him on Twitter, and I'm going to show him this video, and I'm definitely going to plug his book and his movie for him on my YouTube channel and also my Twitter account. So if you guys get an opportunity, definitely check out his movie. It's about a baseball reunion, obviously. That's what it's called, Reunion 108. About some former players that meet up, and that's about as much of the details that I know about it. But definitely check out the IMDb page down at the bottom. I don't know if it's streaming on Netflix or anything like that, so if you have access to Netflix, check it out. You know, Billy's very proud of the fact that he created this movie, and I only want to encourage him to share his knowledge of baseball with everybody else, because that is so cool that he takes the time to write letters to people like this. I cannot believe that. I mean, if I ever have the opportunity to meet Mr. Sample, I'm going to personally thank him. And my letters, I handwrite all my letters to these athletes. And I think sometimes by doing that, that's why you get responses like this. You know, maybe they throw them in the trash, don't even read them, but it looks like obviously he read my letter, because the first thing he says is, "Good luck with your YouTube channel." So there you go. Shout out Mr. Billy Sample. Thank you very, very much for this. And if there's anything that I can do to help promote your movie and your book, I'm going to do it for you. So thank you very much, guys. Excuse me. So thank you, Mr. Sample, and we will see what this last envelope holds. And I've got a good idea who it is because of the postmark. And it's an oversized card. And I didn't mail too many oversized cards out lately. So again, I'm going to open this up off camera only because I don't want to damage that envelope too much. And I'm just going to pull out the insides. Because as you know, I've shared this with you before, I stick the larger cards in an envelope like so and just say, can you please return them? You know, and most of the time they do, but sometimes they don't. So we're going to pull those out, and enclosed in here is, yes, I'll show you the two big ones first, but 2 of 2 on the 1987 Action All-Star, Ken Schrom. So very happy to add those Ken Schroms to the collection. Get those centered a little bit better so you can see them. And in addition to the Action All-Stars, we have a 81 Topps rookie with Luis Leal and Brian Milner, which I don't know either of those guys, with the Blue Jays. I have to do some research and see if they're obtainable. And this one I know I probably can get signed. A Twins Leaders card with Kent Herbick. I'm pretty sure Herbick signs for a small donation, so I might be sending that card out to Herbick next. And finally, an 86 Topps Traded. So 2 cards to finish in the whole set. No, I'm just kidding. Two Topps Traded in the same mailing. That's kind of cool. Then finally a 86 Fleer update as well on Mr. Schrom. I bet you Billy Sample's in that set too. I just didn't wind up pulling it. I almost guarantee that Billy Sample's probably in there. So very, very happy to get those Ken Schroms back. He was a very good ball player for a long time. He obviously led the Twins in ERA in 1983, but he also went 15-8 in 1983. So had a superb year by those standards, and it looks like after the 85 season, or during the 85 season, they must have traded him to the Indians. And I know he stuck around a couple more years with the Indians. Now, an interesting note about Mr. Schrom, if you are a minor league baseball fan like I am myself, he is actually involved with the Frisco Rough Riders, based in Frisco, Texas. I don't know in what capacity what he does for them. I don't know if he's their GM or if he, works for them in their, department, but he, to this day, works for the Frisco Rough Riders from what I understand. So if you're ever in the area to go to a Frisco Rough Riders game, make sure you bring your Ken Schrom cards with you. You might spot him at the stadium and ask him to sign them. So, not that he's not a good through-the-mail signer, but if you prefer to do in-person autographing, that might be somebody that might interest you in doing that. So, thank you very much for watching another episode of Remember the Greats, Through the Mail Thursdays. Hope to see some of your comments down below. Thanks.